A good cinematographer to me is someone who can like just really get to the meat of what's really important and not obsess over details. I really just believe that what's really meant for you won't pass you by, you know? I let go of it and then it showed up. And then I had an invitation that involved joining the union and those things that are necessary to level up. My name is Maya, and I'm a director of photography. I've been doing this job for almost 15 years. I started out in documentary and short format short films, and now I do mostly long format narrative work and commercials. Starting my career felt more like just trying my best to extend the experience of film school and the sort of playful, fun experience that was. I was lucky enough to meet a lot of friends and like sort of like-minded collaborators in film school. So we were just trying to like keep that spirit of filmmaking alive and just, you know, applying for arts grants or using whatever equipment of our own cobbled together to continue creating our own stuff. So whether that was for a small little competition or a film festival, like we had our hearts set on film festivals mostly in those days rather than getting jobs, you know what I mean? Like we just wanted to get our work seen. So I was very heavily involved in a community of young directors and sort of established my body of work that way and through the festival scene, I would say. I definitely felt stuck in a way that I felt like I'd plateaued and that I wouldn't necessarily have access to stuff beyond what I was already doing, which was mostly documentaries at the time and like very, very small indie films. I actually remember feeling like at peace with that. I found a way to find peace with that and not like in a defiant way. I was used to thinking like sort of defiantly about these things, like I'll never be part of like a certain echelon of filmmaking and why, and there are all these injustices, or I don't know, you know, you get swept up in these things. And even in film school, I remember feeling that way, kind of like an outsider a bit in the cinematography department. But I found like actual true peace with that. And then like, I'm not joking, like the very next week it changed. And I honestly think it's because I let it go. It's weird. I don't know, it sounds a bit spiritual or mystical, but I think it's true. Like, it's like I let go of it and then it showed up. And then I had an invitation that involved joining the union and those things that are necessary to level up in this profession, you know, like where you can now be on a list that enables you to do bigger projects, stuff like that. Or like the agents showed up a couple years after. I never thought I'd get an agent, but I was also like, well, I guess that's okay. I've been doing it myself this long. It had been like 10 years or more. It's like, yeah, I guess I can keep going. Because I decided I just liked the job itself. And the projects were good. They were just grueling, you know. I loved the documentaries that I did and I learned so much about them, and they still inform the work I do now, and the way my head works is thanks to the education I received by doing those. And I realized, like, you know, as long as I'm operating at the top of my craft in whatever stage I'm at, then I should be happy. And I think it brings a relaxed energy, you know, when you let go like that, you're relaxed again and you're not fighting your circumstances. You're just like, oh, okay, I have a shoot today. Like, let's go have fun, you know? Especially with social media and stuff, people kind of get swept up into all the success stories of their colleagues or even people they don't even know who live in other countries. And they think, oh, maybe if I lived there, or these types of opportunities would pop up if I'd done this thing differently. But I really just believe that what's really meant for you won't pass you by, you know? Like, the people who are going to pick up what you're putting down, they're going to know that they found that in you. They're not going to let it pass. So if you feel overlooked, it's sort of like they wouldn't kind of get it anyway. Like the chemistry would be off probably, or so I think just patience is important if you're ever feeling left behind or that competitive edge is sort of creeping in. you can spin it into inspiration instead too, you know, just let it motivate you, but don't let it get you down, I guess. It's easier said than done, but just know there's always other circumstances at play, like maybe the chemistry was better, or, you know, some work that someone else had done really resonated there, but that's not really a reflection on you as a person or even you as an artist. Like, the elements at play are also intricate and nuanced that it's almost not even personal. So actually, when I think about it, my network is actually very big. I've stayed in Toronto. I'm from Toronto. I've stayed here. I've worked in different places, but I am rooted here, like I'm based here in the truest way. And I have a big network, but it's not because I go to like parties and schmooze, really, you know? Like I have dabbled in a lot of different types of shooting. So like people from the doc world know me, and they know me from like the National Film Board side of things. But then, you know, there's like a pocket of musicians who know me because I've done music videos. And when I do music videos, it's not like through production companies. It's like literally me and like a band running around. So, you know, like you actually kind of establish more meaningful friendships and stuff that way, you know? Or like, you know, we have our institutions here where it's like I've shot a lot for the CBC and that kind of stuff. And then now it's getting to a point where like local producers who are doing like shows that are more international are putting my name forward and stuff too. So I just kind of have always thought of the film industry as like a thing that keeps kind of, my network can keep growing, but the effect of it is that it all feels a lot smaller, you know, because you just realize how close those connections actually are, and it's just by doing it, you know. It's not like by going to parties or giving out business cards. Like I spent a lot of money on like these business cards like 10 years ago, and I think I used like 5 of them. You know, it's not really, you know, what are you gonna do? You're gonna go to a film festival party and like someone goes home with like a pocket full of business cards. You're not gonna remember every interaction. So I don't even, like, I love film festivals, but I don't really use them to get the next job, if that makes sense. I just like go to them to celebrate, have a good time with people, and then maybe 2 years later I'll hear from them about a project they're doing in Toronto or something. But I guess that's networking, but I don't really think of it that way, you know? When I was fresh out of school, I did email a few production companies because I didn't know what people did. I didn't know if that was what you're supposed to do or not. And I never heard back from them because I don't actually think that works. And so I don't blame them. They probably get that all the time. I didn't take it personally either, because I was like, okay, at least I know I tried that, and that's whatever that was. So I just like kept making stuff, you know? And I realized that you just have to be putting out content that's strong. And I also realized that that kind of means the work of the DP is almost secondary, because the project itself has to be strong. The concept has to be strong if it's a commercial, or, you know, the documentary's got to be really relevant and pertinent to the times and strike a chord in a real authentic way. Or if it's a narrative fiction, it's filling a gap. It's telling a story that isn't out there yet. You know, it's like, it is, the success of a DP is, I feel like, so driven by the content of what they've shot and what they've been attached to, and the level and the caliber of the films they're attached to. So, you know, content is the most important thing. It's more important than a network. The network will come from there, but the quality of the work has to be good intrinsically. And then our job is to just make it look as good as it can and elevate it. But the content is really what will drive your career as a DP. I hardly ever draw lighting diagrams. I work with a handful of different gaffers, and we all sort of have the same process and communication style, which is we like to like walk into the room and talk about what the source of the light is going to be, and that'll inform everything. So at that point, it's just like, what fixtures will it be? Because what kind of throw do we need? And if it's going to be really soft, then should the fixture be bigger so that we could do a bigger book light or something? But it's not, it's like very, very like fast, actually, I would say, because I'm so big on like motivated sources. I often feel like with a very small conversation, these things sort of, they don't light themselves. Obviously, there's like a big crew doing it, but like it's very clear to us what the mission is usually, in with the type of style that I like. So, and then from then it's just controlling it and giving it the quality, the texture that's right, and playing with that. But that's only something we can do when the actor's in and we're seeing how their face is responding to what we've done. So I really try not to take plans too far, because I don't feel like it's fair to the director or the actors to like, you know, not be able to change their blocking or something. I'll often say like, let's just do something really soft, like barely there, whichever one you want, whatever's easiest for you. That's like, that comes out of my mouth like 15 times a day, whatever's easiest. It's like, this is like where it needs to be. I need something just to separate the shoulder, whatever you want. Or like, I'll tell them like, we need to tilt up though. So it has to it can't just be an Astera tube, because it has to be probably something bigger so that it can throw more. You know, like I'll talk about like throw based on what the camera needs to do or how wide it needs to be. And I'll talk about texture. But other than that, I'm like, whatever you want. It's amazing how much like cinematography doesn't matter to audiences. Like they really do. So it's like if you've wrecked the vibe on set because you had to tweak something and make it a little more perfect, and it wrecks the performance, and you failed. Or also like by making it more perfect, you may have also failed, even if the performance is just as good, because maybe it's lacking now something that feels a little more real, you know? So I'm not opposed to readjusting lights in between takes. You have to pick your moments. You have to be discreet. The actors are the most important thing on the floor. If they're distracted by a bunch of people moving around, changing things, that can like throw them off. So it's kind of like picking your moments. You have to kind of always be reading the room with that kind of stuff, you know? But yeah, I'll definitely like make a tweak, or, you know, these days a lot of things are on iPads and dimmers, and we'll just like drop it a few points or whatever, and no one even knows what's going on. And then I'll just tell the DIT, like, match to this take, we fix something. Like, bring up the fill if you have to, or, you know, the fill side, we, you know, fixed it later, so match to that, or, you know, that kind of thing. But you kind of have to read the room. If the director's like really in it, and the between takes is just about a note, and we have to go right away because they're in that headspace now, I'm not gonna like ever stop the show to fix something unless it's like something egregiously awful that the camera operator's fighting something, or, you know. But if we can conceivably just keep going for them and do something very quietly or quickly, I'll make an adjustment, yeah. Why not? It's only if something's really drawing my eye away from the performance that I'll like adjust it, if that makes sense, yeah. Yeah, I value efficiency so much, both in a director and a DP, and then like all the technicians, and that's why I'm always like, what's easiest, what's fastest and easiest, because what the essence of any shot or scene or film is like should be obvious to all of us. So it's like I don't want to be fussing over it, you know. Like I want to get to like the essence of the thing. So a good cinematographer to me is someone who can like just really get to the meat of what's really important and not obsess over details. But I don't necessarily even mean visually. I also mean like interpersonally. Like, don't worry about like politics on set, or like, you know, like involve yourself if you need to, you know, because we're also managers, and we're like, you know, we have to have be an ear to our crew if they have problems and stuff. But if it's like above the line and this kind of stuff where there's network things, like don't even worry about it. Just like kind of break it down to what's essential to maintain the integrity of the thing you're doing, and the rest can kind of fall away, you know. Like listen to the directors and what they really need from you right now, you know. They're often looking to us to just help them like weed through a lot of noise and just like, let's just get to the heart of what we're doing here. Yeah, they're like escaping like a conversation somewhere in a tent, and they're often on set with their like mini monitors because there's so much going on sometimes. So it's like really creating a space to just get to the essence of what we're doing. Even more than technical skills, because you just sort of acquire those as you go, and tools and things. To be honest, like social skills are really important. And I don't mean it in like a schmoozy networking way. I just mean I like to have fun on set, you know. I like to like play around. I started doing this because like my sister and I would make home videos, or like my friends and I would make videos on the weekends. It was just like a way to play. So I think maintaining that kind of more joyful social element has been really beneficial to me, actually. Even if the thing we're working on is very serious, I want people to feel like we can be like humans together not just like stressed out professionals or something. So I think that's really important. The attitude that you bring with you to set and an open-mindedness is just as important as any bag of, technical tricks. Like I spent a lot of time like, just, I don't know if you want to call it mentoring, but, just having chats with people who are a few years like sort of in to their career. And I see there's a lot of stress around where they think they should be. And I think social media has something to do with that maybe, which I was fortunate enough to not have to deal with that as much because it wasn't really a factor when I was first starting out. So I could sort of exist in the dark a bit about what other people were doing. But I wonder if there's some version of that can exist now too, where you can just sort of try to steer clear of too much comparison. What I have found actually always helpful in that sense is to just look at what your favorite filmmakers are doing only, and really, really keep your eye on that prize. Whether they're doing something really interesting structurally or aesthetically, or where they're going, and not worry too much about what people in your own circle are up to, or maybe they are the people you admire most, in which case that's cool. That's really cool. Okay, I guess when each of us start, we don't really have a network and we don't really have a lot of people we know doing this. Like I didn't know anyone in the film business when I was starting. So I only had these like, kind of iconic films to look up to. Iconic for me, even if they weren't like blockbusters or something. And so I could sort of shape my career around those types of aspirations, like wanting to like make a taxi driver, or like like Welcome to the Dollhouse or something, like just those movies have nothing to do with each other, but I love them just as much. So, and I think just kind of chasing that spirit of whatever you think it takes to make something that's that courageous or interesting or whatever it is to you that you value. Like just try to keep that spirit alive and don't worry too much about the day-to-day and the journey. You're on the journey already, so just keep your eye on like a bigger goal and the rest sort of falls away.